In a world of rat and ruin, dear, you're my shelter in the glow. With your Pip-Boy on your wrist.
Welcome back to the Dusty Signal, my little devils. I'm glad you keep finding the signal out there in the static of a broken world. Today, Nate does something crazy. Today, Nate enters the mind of a dead man in search of answers. Now, I have heard of people going to some pretty great lengths for answers. But sugar, Nate Campbell is not most people. Not our boy. Not ol' Nate. Nate doesn't just ask questions. He doesn't just look for clues. He climbs into the head of a dead man. He walks through their memories. He gets answers. How far would you go for answers? Tape 17 is now live.
Log 017, November 7th, 2287. Hotel Rexford again. I got a different room. Some guy approached me on the way to my old room. His name was Rufus. Said he wanted me to run an errand for him, smash and grab job. Said he thought I looked like the kind of guy that could get the job done. I declined and waited for him to leave the area. Then, I got another room. Just what kind of vibes am I putting out? Apparently the kind that makes a stranger think I'm a criminal. My old sniper instructor, Sergeant Hayes, used to always say, "The world will only see what you show it." I need to be better about what I'm showing the world moving forward. A criminal is not it. It's after midnight. Well, early morning. I suppose that's more accurate. I need to sleep. But first, I need to get this down. Strangest thing. I ran into the Vault Tech salesman this morning, coming out of my room. He's a ghoul now. 210 years, and he's still alive. He was not happy about it. Said it wasn't fair that I looked the same. Fair? I asked him if it was fair that my wife was murdered while I was frozen 6 feet away. If it was fair that my son was taken while I couldn't move. If it was fair that Vault Tech froze us all with the intent of never letting us out. He got quiet after that. He claimed he didn't know anything about the experiments, about any of it. I already knew that. He was planted in Sanctuary Hills by my handlers, after all. Just a salesman doing his job, doing what he was told. I looked him in the eyes and asked him one more thing. Whether it was fair that the company he worked for locked him out of the very vault he was sent to fill. He cried. I sent him to Sanctuary Hills, told him to find Preston Garvey and tell him I sent him. Promised I'd visit. He asked me twice to confirm. Made sure I meant it. I meant it. He was practically running down the hall. I didn't ask his name. I walked away and realized halfway down the hall that I never even asked for his name. I'll fix that when I visit. Nick seemed to like that little exchange with the salesman and asked if we could talk for a minute. He told me how he made it to Diamond City, how hard it was for him to be accepted there, how he rescued the mayor's daughter and the mayor let him stay as a result, that he also had felt like an outsider, just like the salesman. He didn't have to tell me any of that. All he's seen of me is the worst of me, the vault, the cold efficiency, the way I treated him on the way out of Vault 114. And here he is just opening up. Unpacking himself, trusting me with something real, being oddly vulnerable. That's how trust is built. Not declared, built. I'll honor it. Hancock was giving a speech on our way to the memory den. standing on his balcony, addressing whoever would listen, telling them to watch for synths, that if someone starts acting differently, stops drinking, stops their usual patterns, to report it. Whatever Hancock is, he leads. People listen. In this world, that's not nothing. We walked over to the memory den after the speech was finished. Dr. Amari wasn't optimistic when I handed her the bag, the piece I'd taken from Kellogg's skull, the hippocampus with the circuitry still attached. She said she needed a functioning brain. I told her to work with what we had. She said she could make it work, but would need to use both of us. I looked at Nick, and he was already climbing into a pod. She wired him in first, just to see if he could do it alone. The Institute tech interfaced quickly. Apparently, they all run on the same architecture. But there was a failsafe, and Nick couldn't access the memories alone. She said if she put us both in the system simultaneously, we might be able to break through it together. I told her to load me in, and climbed into the other pod. That was not an easy thing for me to do. Climb into another pod, and trust a stranger that it was what they claimed it was. But Nick trusted her, and that was good enough for me. A few clicks and beeps, and I was in his head. His memories, not mine. His. Fucking weird. The first one, he was a child. Small room. His mother was listening to the radio. His father was drunk, yelling to turn it off, heading out. His mother pressed a gun into his hands, told him he was the protector now. He was maybe 8 years old. I kept moving. The next one, he had a family, a wife, Sarah, a baby girl named Mary. He was in the kitchen trying to reassure her. Said he'd found work with the she. Said he'd have his own crew one day. The baby was crying and he went to her. He loved them. Whatever he became after, in that memory, he loved them. Completely. Then something happened to them. The memory was fragmented. A voice saying they died like dogs. Him not being there to save them. I kept moving. Next one. A bar in some city. Men approaching him with a job. They wanted him to kill a family. He didn't even hesitate. He traveled east after that, town to town, killing for money. Guilt converting to anger, converting to purpose, the way it does. I kept moving. In one memory, he was talking to a woman. She was from the Institute. She called him disruptive. He told her to hire him. She sent 3 synths at him, and he dropped all 3 in seconds. She was impressed. That's when it started. The Commonwealth, the Institute. Everything he could want in exchange for everything they needed done. And then, I found myself in the one memory that I both couldn't leave and didn't want to be in, all at once. Vault 111. I was back there, right there, watching it happen, again. From his side of the glass this time. He said he never knew why they weren't supposed to refreeze everyone. Said the old man, whoever that is, only wanted me kept frozen. Everyone else was just loose ends. They suffocated them in their pods, refroze me. I can only imagine the fear, the sheer panic they had. Pounding on the glass, terrified, confused, not understanding why as the oxygen just stopped coming. What an ugly way to die. Kellogg said he figured they should have killed me too. Said he was sure he could handle a softy, pre-war grieving father. But the old man said no. Whoever that sick fuck is, he's due a visit from me. I'm going to put a .44 round through his skull. I stayed in this memory, watched it all happen, over and over again. I wanted to remember every single detail. Dr. Amari was telling me to move on, said my vitals were spiking. I watched him shoot her. I watched it again. and again. She fought them. She wouldn't give them Sean. She held on as long as she could. He shot her. He said he was glad he didn't have to kill the kid. Said he never liked doing that. Not that he wouldn't do it, just didn't like it. He said he didn't know who he was grabbing or why, just that it was a job. He was sent to do a job. A job. Just following orders. I've also said those words. Not those exactly, but close enough. I've followed orders. I've been given missions. Mission comes first. You don't ask why. You execute. You trust that the people giving the orders have the full picture, and you don't. I've been in rooms, done things, made calls that probably destroyed families, killed men and women that may have had children, and told myself it was different because we were the good guys, because the mission mattered, because someone with more information than me decided it was necessary. How many kids grew up without parents because of my trigger finger? I know the answer I want to give, that it was different, that my targets were different, that the cause was just and Kellogg's wasn't. But I'm not sure I believe that right now. The whole world ended anyway. What does it matter now? I moved on to the next one. I had to, or I never would. Kellogg's house in Diamond City. Sean was there. 10 years old, reading Grognak the Barbarian comics on the floor. That's my boy. At least he has his father's taste in reading material. Kellogg thought it was a bad idea to be there, but the old man wanted it. And Kellogg, he kind of liked it, living like that, a kid in the house, something resembling normal. He was enjoying it. I don't know what to do with that. He was a monster, a killer, an asshole, but he was just a man. I suppose we all have more to us than we show. Right, Sergeant Hayes? An Institute courser appeared out of nowhere, just appeared in the room with them. Told Kellogg a doctor had gone rogue, Brian Virgil, and was hiding somewhere in the glowing sea. They needed him eliminated. Kellogg knew they were using him and Sean as bait for me. The radio was running Piper's story about the mayor, which means I just missed them by days, maybe less. He took Sean back with him, not through a door. He told Sean to stand next to him, said he was ready to relay. A few flashes, and they were gone. Dr. Amari pulled me out, said the glowing sea is essentially uninhabitable. Said if I was going in, I'd need power armor or a sealed radiation suit, and all the Radaway and Rad-X I could carry. Nick was already upstairs. She'd pulled him out already. I took a minute to get my bearings back and went upstairs. When I walked up to him, something was wrong. His voice changed. It was Kellogg's voice that came out of him, telling me he hoped I found what I was looking for, that he should have killed me in the vault. I stopped dead in my tracks and just stared at Nick. His eyes flashed, and then he looked at me with concern. I had my hand on my pistol. I asked him why the fuck Kellogg was talking through him. Nick said he didn't know what I was talking about. I started to pull the pistol. He put his hands up and said he felt fine and had no idea what I was talking about. Said maybe it was a residual memory. I slid the pistol back and told him to head back to Diamond City. Told him there was something wrong with him, and we needed to go separate ways. I could barely look at him. I wasn't sure if I could trust him either. He was gracious about it. Said the memories were hard on both of us, that he'd be in Diamond City when I cooled off and needed his help again. Then he walked out the door. I felt like an ass before I even made it to the hotel. He's probably right about all of it. I mean, he has done nothing but help me, and I've done nothing but question his loyalty, treat him like a pack mule, and bark orders at him. That doesn't make the voice I heard any less real, though. I have a lot to work through tonight before I can sleep. The glowing C, power armor at forward base Alpha, needs repair. Preston might know where to find a radiation suit. Ten Pines needs a check-in. And somewhere in all of that, I need to figure out what I'm actually going to do when I get to the glowing sea and find this doctor. And how the hell is that doctor surviving there? I need a plan, a real one, not guesswork and excellent aim. Just following orders. I keep coming back to that. Kellogg and I were both pointed at targets by people with more information than us and told to execute. The difference between us is supposed to be the cause, the justification, the side we were on. I believed that then. I'm less sure about it now. I'll figure it out, though. I always do. The mission doesn't stop because the man running it gets uncomfortable with himself. Sean is still in the Institute. That's what I know. That's what I hold on to. I'm going to find him. I'm going to kill the old man. And I'm going to bring Sean home. This is Staff Sergeant Nathaniel Campbell. Out.
That one's going to sit with me for a while. Let me start with something that most people probably walked right past on that tape. The salesman. 210 years of being a ghoul. Alone, disfigured, locked out of the very vault he was sent to fill by the very company he trusted. And the first thing out of his mouth when he sees Nate is that it isn't fair. And Nate asked him the right question. Was it fair for you to be locked out of that vault by the very company you were working for? He cried. I've seen a lot of people break down in my time. Some of them deserved it. Some of them didn't. But there's a particular kind of cry that comes out of a person when somebody finally asks the question they've been carrying alone for too long. That's what happened in that hallway. And Nate sent him to Sanctuary Hills, made him a promise, twice confirmed it, but didn't ask the man's name. He caught that himself, said he'd fix it when he visited. I believe him. Do you? Now, the memory den. I want to talk about what it actually means to walk through another person's memories. Now, you may not know what that's like, but I do, sugar. I'll leave the technology bits to Dr. Amari. I don't know nothing about that. But what it means for the person doing the walking, that I do know about. You don't just see what they saw. You feel what they felt. The love they had, the guilt they carried, the moment everything went wrong, and the choice they made afterward. Nate walked through a killer's entire life in the span of, well, however long Dr. Amari had him in that pod. And what he found wasn't just a monster. He found a man. A man who loved his family completely, who lost them, who made a choice about what to do with that loss, and kept making that choice for the rest of his life until it was the only thing left of him. Sound familiar? Now, I want to be careful here, because what I'm about to say is not an excuse for anything Kellogg did. He made his choices. He lived by them. And he died by them. But Nate said something on that tape that I don't think he fully understood the scope of. Just following orders. I've seen what happens when people follow orders without question. I've seen what it costs, what it takes from a person, what it leaves behind. I have also seen what happens when people don't follow them. When someone decides on their own that they know better, that their judgment supersedes the chain of command, and acts on it. That's not pretty either. Here is the truth about orders, sugar. The hard truth. The one nobody talks about around the fire, because it's too uncomfortable to sit with. A soldier who follows orders without question is dangerous. And a soldier who questions every order is useless. The truth lives somewhere in the middle, and nobody gets to stand there cleanly. Not Kellogg, and not Nate. The scars of violence may heal on the surface, but that damage runs deep. Nate looked into that dying man's eyes and saw himself looking back. Not completely, not exactly, but enough. Enough to ask the question he'd been avoiding for days. How many families? What kind of lasting pain did he cause? Just following orders. I don't have an answer for him. Nobody does. And that's the hardest part. There is no real resolution to that question. Not if you have a soul. You just live with it. Bury it. He's deciding, right now, what to do with that realization. That's not nothing, sugar. Most people never get that far. Most people bury it so deep, they forget it's there until it surfaces at the worst possible moment. Nate's looking right at it, facing it head on. That takes more courage than anything he did in that vault or that tower. At least Nate and Kellogg chose to follow their orders. Because I know something about following orders you didn't choose to follow. About being put in situations where the options were do this or something worse happens. Where the person giving the order had more power than you, and you were young enough and scared enough that you did what you were told. And I know what it's like to carry that, to keep carrying it. Because that's what you do when there's nowhere to put it down. Nate put Kellogg's memories down when he walked out of that pod. He had to. Dr. Amari made him. But his own memories, his own orders, his own trigger finger, those came with him. And when Nate made it back in his hotel room, he sat with all of it. I hope he slept. One more thing before I let you go. Nick Valentine spoke in Kellogg's voice, and Nate nearly drew on him. And then Nick, who has every reason in the world to be done with Nate Campbell, told him he'd be in Diamond City when he cooled off and needed help. I swear, a heartbeat isn't required for grace. Nick proves that time and again. Nate knows he was wrong. Said so himself before he even made it back to the hotel. That's his compass still working, even through the fog and pain. Nate's trying hard to stay on a good path, to make that world a better place. But I'm not so sure the world wants to be a better place. You know one way to show old Dusty that the world wants to be better? Write in and let me know how you are making a difference. The courier network's there when you want to use it, and your letters always find me. Keep sending them in. Besides, how else will old Gmail stay out of them bars? Next tape. Nate heads back to Sanctuary Hills to begin planning for a trip to the glowing sea. I hope he packs his atomic sunscreen. May you always find shelter from the rad storms of your future, sugar. Stay close to the signal. Stay alive. Stay strange. Dusty. Out.
Stay close, my vault dweller. Don't roam too far from me. With you I build our paradise beneath the desert sea. Oh my Calvin, you make my heart far away.
This is Garrett Klein, the one-man creative force behind the Dusty Signal podcast and the solo creator for Classic Me Studio. The Dusty Signal is a fan fiction audio drama that's set in the Fallout 4 universe. Fallout and all related properties are owned by Bethesda Game Studios, and no copyright infringement is intended. This is and always will be a free, non-commercial production. Created, written, and produced by Garrett Klein for Classic Me Studio. Voices were created using 11 Labs AI voice technology. Original song, Vaulted Heart, was created using 11 Labs music generation software. Sound design from Audio Hero, 11 Labs, and My Imagination. Genuinely thank you for listening, and I hope you're enjoying it.